Hello, my friends. Good evening, everyone. This is evening time for me in New Zealand. And I want to make this very brief and quick video talking about enlightenment and liberation. How to get liberated, how to become liberated. Well, as always, you should always ask the questioner whenever someone is giving you advice on something or whenever you're learning something from someone. Always ask what their credentials are. And the question is, am I liberated? Am I enlightened? And the answer is yes. Yes, I am. Thank you very much for asking and for noticing me. So in this video, we're going to talk about enlightenment, liberation, as I said, and how to get liberated. So let's get started. How to become liberated? Well, the Buddha gave an eightfold path on how to proceed towards enlightenment, meaning right view, right intention, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right mindfulness, right concentration. Right view meaning the right understanding of life, the right guidance, and the right roadmap, having the right roadmap, guidance, and knowing where you're going, knowing the terrain in general, the terrain you're going to walk through and traverse. Right intention meaning right thoughts, right intention in terms of what your intention is willing to do, what you're willing to do, what intention you have for others, what intentions you have for yourself, and what you have intentions for life in general. Intentions and thoughts can be supplemented. They're essentially the same thing. So right intentions meaning going towards life and not moving away from life. How do you move away from life? Well, essentially you do 5 things. You kill, you steal, you lie, you misuse your sexuality, and you intoxicate your mind. Essentially you destroy yourself, you destroy others, you destroy life. That's not what you want to do. You want to promote better health for living beings and practice generosity, truthfulness, etc. And so for the other 5. So moving down to right speech. So right intention, let me go backwards here. Right intention and right view and right intention deals with the mind. It deals with wisdom. It deals with, yes, the mind and wisdom, like I said. So it deals, it's 1/3 of the path. Next is right speech. Right speech is of 4 kinds. Speech, there's false speech, which is incorrect. There is harsh speech. There is divisive speech, and there is idle speech. So the most coarse one and the most severe one is, of course, lying, false speech. So directly, intentionally lying to you, lying to my friends, lying to my family, lying to anyone in general, it takes you away from the path of liberation. Whereas if you speak the truth, no matter the cost, you're ultimately going towards the truth and towards ultimate and final liberation. Harsh speech, using harsh language, and the other 2 I'm sure you know, just very briefly, dividing, gossip and wasting people's time with your speech. Next is right action. So to look at this very briefly, we want to look at what is the wrong action. The wrong action is of 3 kinds. It is the wrong action of killing, the wrong action of stealing, and the wrong action of misusing your sexual energy. Meaning, the most obvious way someone can misuse their sexuality is with a very illegal act. In most countries, various things that are not so pleasant and aesthetic that people do to each other in terms of their sexuality. That is illegal, so you want to generally stay away from that. But also unwholesome things, you should also stay away from things that hurt people with your sexual energy. And you know what that is. And killing and stealing, of course, I don't have to get into that. You already know. Killing living beings of any kind, mosquitoes, flies, bugs. Don't set traps for other living beings. You want to live just as every other life form wants to live, and you have no right to take away life from other beings. You have not created this game, so please don't harm life. and don't destroy other living beings. They want to live just as much as you do. And similarly with stealing, you shouldn't take things that aren't yours, that aren't given to you. Again, you have no right to do so. No one has given you permission to take something. And each time that you steal, you hurt another living being. So if you steal something of a valuable property from someone, of course they're going to feel pain, they're going to feel misery, they're going to feel whatever other negative and unpleasant emotions that there are. So you don't want to cause any pain and suffering to anyone for any reason. So don't steal. If you want something, ask for the person's permission. If they accept it, then you can take it. But if they don't, well, leave it be. So don't take things from others. It's a very, very wrong thing to do. Next, moving down to right livelihood. Right livelihood is again of 5 parts. So we'll talk about the wrong livelihood. If you don't do the wrong livelihood, meaning livelihood in terms of how are you making your money. So in this world, in this game, you have to go and earn money in some way. Some door just closed shut. You have to earn your money in some way. And if you are earning your money in the wrong way, that's going to lead to your ultimate harm and not good. So let's talk about these 5 wrong livelihoods. What are they? It is dealing in human beings, meaning slave trade and slavery, dealing in poison, dealing in intoxicants, dealing in weapons, and dealing in meat, or in animals, I should say. So let's talk about briefly each one of these. So dealing, slavery and dealing in human beings, obviously you want to avoid any kind of trafficking of human beings at all costs. Again, it hurts life, it hurts other living beings, it hurts other human beings, which is a very, very big crime in nature. You want to stay away from that at all costs. Next is dealing in poison. So, there are various chemicals that people are building to send to conflict zones, and you know what that is, like chemical warfare and such. I don't want to get into this. This is very kind of touchy subject, but dealing in any kind of weapons that deal with such things that damage other life forms and also damage lower life forms. For example, let's say rats. If you're selling rat poison, that's also a livelihood you want to stay away from. Why? Because you're contributing to the pain, suffering, and ultimately death of another living being, which is not what you want to do. So stay away from dealing in any kinds of poison that are intentionally made towards destroying other living beings' lives. The third is dealing in intoxicants. So this is also a wrong livelihood. So anything that deals with intoxicating or clouding the mind of a human being, that could be in any endeavor that is to do with hallucinogenics or mind-altering substances or beers or alcohol, anything like this, anything that takes your mind away from sobriety. So maybe you might be asking, what about coffee, or what about kombucha, or what about these things? Well, we can, those are very mild kind of mind-altering substances, and ultimately, of course, even a food is a mind-altering substance. So I eat a watermelon, my state of mind changes quite drastically and significantly. Not to say I'm going to hallucinate or something, but it changes, of course, because everything is a chemistry inside of this body. But we want to, and of course, coffee, something like coffee, we could argue and we can say that this is an enhancement of one's brain capacity. But the second that you cross over the line towards hallucinogenics and towards taking your mind into very fancy states of mind, that's what you want to avoid, because only a very small, only a handful group of people on this planet Earth can actually sustainably and comfortably handle that within their own systems. Most of you cannot. So if you're doing these things, if you're taking these things, you are entering a forest, a mystical, magical forest, but you may not find your way back. Or it'll take you years for you to finally go back towards sobriety. So sobriety is the most important thing when it comes to meditation, and for you to ultimately go towards liberation and finding the ultimate goal in your life. So that's intoxicants. Next is dealing in weapons. So again, dealing in any kind of weapons that hurt and destroy other living beings, human beings, animals, any type of weapon, you want to stay away from that, of course, as well. And finally, dealing in meat or dealing in livestock. You can deal in livestock in terms of, I have some sheep and I want you to shear the sheep, and the sheep will be taken care of and will be kind towards the sheep. Or I have some cows and we want to milk the cows, okay, that's fine. But the second that you start dealing in meat, in animal flesh, well, that is a wrong livelihood, because again, you cannot produce animal flesh without destroying a living being's life. So you want to stay away from animal products in this lifetime for your own well-being, and also from livelihoods in terms of a livelihood perspective or a job perspective. You want to stay away from consuming anything that is animal-based. You want to stay away from jobs that deal with meat and deal with animals, slaughter of animals. Okay. Next is right effort. So these next three, right speech, right action, and right livelihood, deal with morality. It deals with action of the body. And the last three will deal with meditation. So the last three are right effort, right mindfulness, and right concentration. So briefly, I'm going to touch about this. I'm not going to go into depth with all of these. It's not necessary. But ultimately, it's to make your mind and body conducive for meditation, and for you to find an object, an appropriate object for you to concentrate on, or for you to become aware of, or some type of meditation practice you have to incorporate into your life for your mind to become concentrated, to become center point, and ultimately for you to perceive the deepest and darkest layers of this reality, which is ultimately nothingness. That is liberation. So maybe you might be asking yourself, how did I get liberated? And what is this liberation? How does it work? What does it feel like? Let's just talk about this. So again, fortunately, I have to say this because one of my good friends, Fernandez, the person that I do a podcast with, he has ultimately broke free from suffering. You know, he's a kind and wise guy, yet maybe in the spiritual community, you may not be agreeing with his lifestyle per se, or his lifestyle choices. That's okay, that's irrelevant. The fact remains that he has broken free from his mind, which is ultimately what liberation and what enlightenment is. Now, someone like him, or someone like me, can't be compared to the historic Buddha, or it can't be compared to even a human being that's currently walking this planet, which is Sadhguru. Yet still, nonetheless, our realization or our attainment is similar and the same. Simply, he has broken through to his mind. He has broken free from his mind. So this is the consequence that I want to make. When your mind gets attached to your body, when your mind gets attached to your emotions, when your mind gets attached to your heart, and you think you are the mind, we can think of the mind being as a type of entity, or a kind of entity. And this entity loves to attach itself to things, loves to create stories, loves to think and create concepts and ideas and whatever else. And this entity is so convincing that it has attached itself into the forefront of your head. It's something that's constantly thinking, and you're not seeing it as a simple tool for survival, that's what it is. It's a survival tool. You can't keep it aside. You can't see it as in terms of simply nails growing, or hair growing, or heart beating, or mind thinking. No. So all the first things that I said are normal, but when it comes to the mind thinking, you are the mind. The mind has attached to you. The mind has absorbed you. The mind is so powerful that it has taken a grasp of you, or you are believing in your mind. You are convinced by your mind, which is not what you want to do. You want to separate yourself from the mind, or simply see it as a survival tool. We have been evolved with this fascinating and fantastic element of life. We can think, which no other creature on this planet Earth, can think. This is not human Earth. This is just life Earth. We are the only creatures that can think and have the ability to think, which is phenomenal and fantastic. So yes, you want to separate yourself from the mind, you want to detach yourself from the mind, you want to disconnect yourself from the mind. And how do you do that? Well, again, practice the Eightfold Noble Path. That's a rigid, structured rule that you can simply go towards. It's a very logical path, and you can feel comfortable that once you start walking this path, you will see results. You will ultimately get to your destination, your long-term destination, When I say long-term destination, because there are faster ways of doing this. There are faster ways of becoming liberated. In essence, or essentially, you have to incorporate all of these 8 things. You have to have morality, some sense of morality. You have to have the right to wisdom and understanding, and you have to have some kind of internal process for you to break free from your mind. It doesn't work any other way. So simply you being born as a human being, it takes a great deal of spiritual paramis, or spiritual qualities or perfections, for you to become incarnated in this human form, meaning that you were kind and you were wise in your past lives. So human beings that are not kind, do not do kind things, and do not do wise things, and destroy life, guaranteed they will find hell after this human birth ends. That's a guarantee, in effect. So we don't have to talk about that. Let's leave that aside. What are some faster ways of doing this? Well, the fastest way that I've come across doing this is to absorb yourself in this energy. When I say this energy, simply find an enlightened being that has the necessary energy to give you, such as myself, or it could be anyone. Sadhguru, my dear Master Yogi Vishwanath, the person that is in charge of this yoga center. And you will see him very soon. I will record an interview with him. You'll graciously get to witness his presence. He's a remarkable and kind human being. Simply absorb yourself in this energy. So, the most advanced human being that I've currently found on planet Earth is Sadhguru. And Sadhguru has created various technologies on liberation and for you to gain your ultimate liberation, such as the Jnanalinga. But let's talk about you. If you're serious about this, and I know most people are not, you're probably watching this out of curiosity, or you have some intensity, but it's not built up sufficiently. This can be done to you literally in one day, in one night. You can simply break free from your mind suffering. And then on forward, your entire life is free for your own choosing, and you won't have to suffer the consequences of your own mind. Yet, if you're stuck in pleasurable conditions and situations, and you're going about life slowly and casually and peacefully, well, then there's no rush. There's no issue. There's no problem. You're walking through life and you're thinking, okay, well, one day. One day will pass and you'll be at the deathbed, and maybe you'll realize then, maybe you won't. And my friends and ladies and gentlemen, the consequences of not realizing this are too severe. You don't know what's going to happen to you after this life ends, or once you progress into the next life. You don't know, I don't know, no one knows for you. So this is an opportunity that you can't miss, being born as a human being. You have to strive towards this. You have to strive towards your ultimate well-being, and essentially towards your ultimate liberation, because there is nothing more important thing in life than this.